The fading rose there. It's like the only memorial that that woman or those collective women have, because we want them to vanish without a trace. We really want that.
How Old Women Die tells the story of a woman who was abandoned by her family at a nursing home. Through images, text, and ambient sounds gathered from nursing homes, this mixed media installation by Judith Selby poses questions about the personal, social, and medical implications of aging.
The first thing that I prepared myself for before I ever entered the exhibit was the thought of death, which I have a difficult time dealing with under any circumstances, and certainly don't look forward to in my own case. And because I have experienced so much death in my family over the years, it's not a comfortable feeling for me. And I told myself that when I walked through the exhibit, I was not going to be emotional, because I'd already been through this, and I was here just to see the quality of what you had prepared and the story that you have told along with the pictures. And I was telling myself that I wanted to view it in a very objective fashion and again, not be emotional. Well, when I walked in, I probably, by the time I got to the third picture, past the wheelchair and the gurney, I had my tears were already welling up in my eyes. And when I got to the part about the convalescent, where the woman was in the convalescent home and she no longer had the power of control over her body, where you had phrased she was trapped. And her soul wasn't dead, her mind wasn't dead, but because her body was dead, she was an observer of life, no longer a participant.
When I first started this work, it was very difficult for me. It's not an easy situation to find myself in, and yet I felt compelled to do this kind of work. And so I thought, well, I'm going to be in this situation. How can I, in some ways, make sense of it for myself? How can I reach inside, feel the pain that I'm feeling, and try to make some understanding of it? And I felt that a story or a narrative was a way that I could then guide them. I could hold their attention longer. I could take them on the journey that I wanted them to take and provide them with an experience as well. You might say this is one woman's story, but in many ways it is a composite of many stories. In the same way, it's a composite of many faces. That's why I didn't choose to use one woman and I could have, staged it in a way or selected out and used the same person throughout. But I felt like this face was in a way it was contained in many faces, and ultimately it's contained in my face.
Don't go away. Where'll I go? I don't know. Where'll I go? I go. Mama, I don't know. I don't know what my mother was. I know, but I love my mother. I don't I want to go home and I have to go back to bed. Where am I going? Where am I going? Where am I going? I don't go anywhere. I don't go anywhere. Don't go away. Where'll I go?
This is really a culmination of a 4-year process for me, and lots of things in between. I always envisioned having some kind of feeling of a long corridor. I wanted the viewer to feel that sense of constriction and confinement that a person must feel when they're in a convalescent hospital. And I knew the work could best be served by creating that kind of space. It wasn't just creating the space, but then how can we extend it beyond the confines of this space? So it wasn't just the constriction here, but then the expansiveness into other audiences and inviting and involving the community in a whole discussion about what aging is and those issues.
I knew that not only had it affected me personally immediately, and there's just an immediate response from myself, I knew that this would be an extremely accessible show to the community. Everybody that came in would make a connection with the work, and that was really important to me. I feel that the things that we do in the gallery not only have to be great art, but there has to be this ability for the audience to come into the show, see the work, and receive something from it. It has to fill them up. They have to begin to have a relationship with the work. It was wonderful working with the kids. I felt that they really got it. They really understood growing old. You know what it means to grow old, and not just that there's a shell that's sagging, that's deteriorating, but there's this real person inside there. I think they got that for the first time, maybe.
How Old Women Die tells the story of an elderly woman who was abandoned by her family at a nursing home. Marta Montgomery, Girl Scout troop leader, recognized that this exhibition would provide an important experience for her troop. Shelley Willis, the curator, prepared exercises to give the girls an understanding of some of the physical limitations of an aging body. The girls placed pebbles in their shoes to simulate painful corns and bunions. They experimented with canes, walkers, and wheelchairs. To diminish their vision, lotion was smeared onto eyeglasses so they might see glaucoma or cataracts. Fingers were bound with adhesive tape to constrict their movement. The girls toured the exhibition, viewing the images, taking turns reading aloud the text.
It's sort of like a book, like a story. So we have to start at one panel and we go through it and read everything. So let's go ahead and take it. Let's start here. And why don't you start? Read this. Come up close, you guys. Come on.
They did not want to do it. Yet there was no...
There was her... disorientation.
Disorientation, and then the...
Series
of falls. Her family knew that the time had come.
Okay.
They told her she would be... They never came in. Back here, she's at the end of her life, and these halls are like the past, and she's just looking back on her mistakes and what she's done. And
Her mistakes.
Her mistakes and the right things that she's done, her children. These doors all represent one thing, like one of her kids or one of her greatest memories.
As a teaching learning environment, How Old Women Die gave the girls the opportunity to encounter the life of the elderly. The girls explored their feelings and examined their biases about aging. What began with a tour of an art exhibition continued with the girls' visit to a nursing home. Through these experiences, the girls will be encouraged to develop an ongoing relationship with an elder member of the community.
This is not one woman's story. Rather, it is a composite of many stories and many faces. It is of our grandmothers, our mothers, ourselves.